I just imagine sipping this, watching the stars, having a fire crackling on the side. Hi, and welcome back to the Whiskey Laymen. I'm Mac, and he's Matt, and we've been gone for a while. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I've been lazy.
It happens.
We've been busy too.
So what do we have here today?
Today we have 5 whiskeys that I think we've decided are 5 of the most common you will see in any given liquor store or bar in America. First up, Jameson, Irish whiskey. We tried this as one of our first probably 3 or 4 videos, I think.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah. So I recall liking it.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's get into it and see if that still holds true after about a year of trying different whiskeys.
It still tastes something like a Christmas cookie in a sense. It's a little bit more burn than I recall it having. Still very tasty though.
Yeah, very drinkable. Pretty mild too. Like there's nothing that really jumps out and like hits you. Mm-hmm. There's no sharp tastes. There isn't really a huge amount of burn. A little bit in the throat, but it's liquor.
Yeah, just a little bit, and it's faded away.
Right. I think there's a reason you see Jameson everywhere you go.
It's delicious.
I don't think I've seen a bar that hasn't had Jameson in it.
Next up, Jim Beam.
I believe his name is James Beam.
We're a bit more familiar than that.
That's fair. Jim doesn't seem like a very classy guy either.
Do you think he's not a top hat wearer?
Definitely not a top hat wearer.
Oh, it's unfortunate.
I don't even know if he would have a monocle or a cane.
Wait, you can't have a monocle and cane without a top hat. Top hat's got to be like the first step.
That's fair. Jim's American, so less classy. We actually haven't tried Jim Beam yet on camera or really much.
We did have a Jim
camera.
Beam honey before?
Yes, we did. Which I remember being kind of obnoxiously sweet.
Yeah. I'm not really sure what I'm getting out of the smell here.
It smells very, dry, almost. Kind of woody.
Yeah, I can see that. Oh.
I'm still getting wood. It tastes woody to me.
It does, but not the same as I get from a lot of other... it's not what I would call the same oaky flavor that some of the other whiskeys we've had has had.
Right.
But it definitely is a very woody aftertaste to it.
Yes. Not smoky like a lot of scotches, though. Just woody.
Correct. Yeah. This is okay. It's not overpoweringly flavorful in any fashion.
Yeah.
I was kind of worried because of the Jim Beam honey we'd had. I mean, even though it's been a long time since we've had that.
Sure.
I didn't have great memories of it. This isn't as bad as I thought it might be.
I don't really like it.
That's fair. I don't know if I would get it all that often, but I can see why it is a more common whiskey or bourbon to have around.
Sure.
It doesn't seem to be, outrageously offensive.
Next up, Jack Daniels. Another American whiskey named after another guy whose name starts with J. Technically, not marketed as a bourbon, but I think we discussed this in the Jack Daniels video. It meets all of the legal requirements to be a bourbon. They just choose not to call it a bourbon for whatever reason. But
don't know why.
An American whiskey nonetheless.
All right.
Let's get into it. Let's try to go into this with an open mind. It's been a few months since we've tried Jack Daniels.
It is.
Let's pretend that we've never tried it and see if we like it this time. Is this the most common whiskey out there also? In America at least.
I see it everywhere, and I know a bunch of people who enjoy it, so...
Yeah, I do too. I know people who claim to be whiskey lovers who drink Jack Daniels. I don't know if I agree with their stance in that regard, but...
it's also very, very common as a mixer. Jack and Coke is extremely prevalent.
Oh, yeah. We went to a bar recently where Jack Daniels was their well whiskey. I have to imagine that other bars do that as well.
Sure, yeah.
So you don't even know you're drinking Jack in that situation. You just order a whiskey and you're going to get a Jack, so...
So as far as the smell, for me, there's nothing outstanding one way or the other for it. There's nothing off-putting by the smell, at least.
That's fair. I already tasted it, so. I don't hate that as much as I did the last time we tried it. At all.
Neither do I.
That's weird.
I'm getting much more bourbon-y tastes than I did previously as well.
Yeah, same.
So does this mean our taste buds are changing?
Probably, yeah. We've tried probably 50 plus whiskeys either on or off camera since we last tried Jack Daniels, so I have to imagine that our palates have definitely changed since then.
So do we have to re-rate Jack Daniels?
We have to re-rate all of these at some point, I think.
Fair enough.
But
So, quick question then. Would you drink this just going out? Maybe not neat, but maybe as a mixer?
I think I would, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, next one up. One of our earliest, or maybe our earliest video.
Our first episode.
Yeah, Johnny Walker.
Johnny Walker.
Now, this is the red label, and I know we've done red label, black label. We've tried pretty much all of them, right?
We have, yeah. Not on camera. We did red and black on camera. It was a rough introduction to whiskey for us.
I managed to spill it all over the table as well.
Oh.
Now, for quite a while, Johnny Walker, specifically black label, but red label as well, was kind of like my go-to. I really, really enjoyed this. But it's been months now since I've actually had Johnny Walker. So I'm interested to see if I still enjoy it or not, especially after testing out the Jack Daniels again.
Yeah. And Johnny Walker, probably the most common scotch you could find at every bar in America.
Ah, yes. I'm getting some of that smoky flavor that I recall.
Yeah. Definitely smokier than any of the other whiskeys we've tried so far.
Yeah. And it has a bit of that typical Scotch flavoring, which is, I don't know if I've ever really described it very well before, but it's reminiscent of, like, ocean?
A little salty, briny, kind of?
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I'm actually kind of surprised by the amount of smoke I'm getting from this, because I know that this is not smoky at all. And I just wonder if it's in stark contrast to the ones we've had prior to this.
Sure.
Which have all been, bourbons or,
Sure.
whiskeys.
Oh, yeah. I think of the 5 whiskeys we're trying here today, this is the only one that anyone would ever describe as smoky, so. Obviously, we know that there's a lot of scotches that are not smoky out there as well, but
Right, yes.
I'm not trying those today. Is smoky a popular taste, though? This is probably the most commonly seen scotch in America, so there must be a reason for that. Is it just marketing, or is it really the smoky taste appealing to American palates?
Could be. I mean, there's any number of reasons. It's really not offensive. It is a whiskey that's it's more mellow and less like attacking of the taste buds compared to a bourbon, which is I feel like a much more upfront flavor.
Yep.
This is much more of like a relaxing flavor,
Oh,
at least
for sure.
to me. The smoke is irrelevant to that comparison, but in my opinion, it doesn't detract from it in any way. And in fact, I enjoy the little bit of smoke. It reminds me a little bit of a campfire.
Yeah.
I just imagine sipping this, watching the stars, having a fire crackling on the side.
And last, but maybe not least, Crown Royal, the only Canadian whiskey in this group of 5. We've tried Crown before as well.
Yeah.
We spent quite a bit of time talking about how fancy the bottle is, shaped like a crown. Really not important here. Crown, very popular. Comes in many different flavor varieties, kind of like Jim Beam as well.
Mm-hmm. Very little on the smell.
Yeah.
I have to assume that we're being betrayed by the fact that we've had so many other samples recently.
That's true. We may have saved the mildest whiskey for last, which may be our undoing here, but I like it.
Same. It is very mild.
It is. It's mild with a hint of sweetness. I know I said this last time we tried it too, but I may be being swayed by the fact that it's Canadian, but I swear there's a hint of maple syrup in it.
There is absolutely no chance of maple syrup being in here. He is being swayed 125%, and I'm disappointed in him showing favoritism towards maple syrup.
I think you said something similar last time we tried it too.
Well, it must be true then. I'm going to say it has a little bit of reminiscence of the Jameson. Like it has something that I would associate with a sugar cookie almost.
Yeah, like a maple sugar cookie.
All right, rank them. What do we got? Out of these 5 beginner whiskeys, or more accessible whiskeys, not necessarily beginner whiskeys, what do you put in it, where, and why?
I'm going to put Crown number 1.
Wow. Okay.
I'm going to say Crown is my number 1. It is sweet, mild, smooth. I know that's a word that gets thrown around a lot and doesn't really necessarily have a lot of meaning, but it doesn't attack my senses. It's easy to drink. I feel like it would blend well with most mixers, and it's very easy to find everywhere you go, at least in America. Should I go on with my number 2?
Yeah. Hit us up. What's your number 2?
I'm going to go with Jameson, number 2 here. Very similar to the Crown in a lot of ways. Sweet, mild, no burn, really. A little more burn than the Crown, actually, though, is my one reason I've set it back a little bit.
That's fair.
Still great. I would still drink it straight. I would still mix it with things. It's a good whiskey.
Okay.
I'm going to go with something that surprises myself here a little bit at number 3. I'm going to go with Jack Daniels.
Okay. This is obviously a change in our taste buds over the past few months, then.
100% agree. Jack Daniels really surprised me here. It has a nicely complex flavor without being so complex that I am missing things, if that makes sense. Like, it has more going for it in terms of complexity than the Crown or the Jameson. There's more things to notice there, but it's not obnoxious. It's not pretentious. It's it's no nonsense. But it's got like a little bit of spice, a little bit of woodiness. Not necessarily my favorite whiskey, but I'm ranking it here because I think it's overall a decent whiskey in terms of these 5 that we're ranking.
Okay. Number 4.
Number 4, going with Johnny Walker Red Label.
Wow.
I
honestly thought this would be your last place.
Really?
Because you didn't complain too much about the Jim Beam when you drank it.
That's true.
And you have in the past complained at length about smokiness in your drinks.
That's very.
So I really thought this was going to be last.
Oh, those are all valid points. Johnny Walker surprised me here, though. I like it. It's been a long time since I've tried it. I've had a lot of scotches since then, and I think scotches have really started to appeal to me. And I think I've become something of a scotch drinker, if I can be so bold as to call myself that.
Bold.
Very bold. And I gotta go with, when in doubt, gotta go with the top hat cane man. So.
I mean, it's fancy. It's not as fancy as a Crown. We've discussed that. Go on. And obviously 5th place then?
Obviously in 5th place is Jim Beam. Didn't hate it. Didn't hate it like I was expecting to. Just didn't do a lot for me. It was way more mild than I expected. Had a little bit of a woody taste, and that was about all I could say about it. It tasted like mild wood.
Mild wood?
Yeah. So those are my rankings. It's your turn.
My turn. Okay. I'm gonna put Jameson as my number 1. It is sweet. Like I said, it reminds me of Christmas time, baking Christmas cookies, and it's just it tastes really good. I really, really enjoy it.
Plus, it's got Christmas colors on the bottle, green and red.
Maybe I'm being influenced.
You went on about how I was being influenced by the Canadian whiskey, so I don't know. Continue, please.
Okay. Number 2 is going to be a tie.
Tie?
It's going to be a tie. I got my boy Johnny here.
Jonathan
Walker. It didn't taste as good to me in retrospect as it used to. And I think I'm just maybe developing flavor profile slightly different. And here's a little bit of a shocker.
Wow.
I'm putting Jack Daniels on the same tier as Johnny Walker now. And I'm surprised myself. I have started to drink a couple more bourbons recently. I do like a bit more of the more powerful flavors coming at me.
Sure.
And my most recent tasting of Jack Daniels, it blew me away compared to how I remember it, and that's a good thing.
That's fair enough. Yeah, if you like it, you like it.
Yeah, and then so coming in at number 4, Crown Royal. Nothing bad to say about this. It just wasn't as good, in my opinion, compared to the others.
That's fair. More mild.
And there was very much nothing standoutish about it, unfortunately. And then last, Jim Beam.
Wow.
But as I was saying before, I expected worse. And I feel like I'm coming into this now with some prejudices against it, and I'm sorry for that. And Jim Beam did surprise me, but it still wasn't as good as the other ones that we had in front of us. I would definitely drink Jim Beam going out, though.
we definitely have some discrepancies in our rankings.
Sure.
But I think we could both probably agree overall, none of these 5 whiskeys were bad.
And that would make sense why we see them everywhere, right?
Right. I guess, there's a reason we see these, everywhere you go. We didn't necessarily like all of these whiskeys when we first tried them, though.
Very true.
So, does that mean that not all of these would necessarily be good whiskeys for beginners?
I think that's something that it's going to have to be contemplated by each individual.
Sure. It's going to depend on what your tastes are.
Sure.
But overall, 5 solid whiskeys that you can find anywhere you go in America, pretty much.
Yep.
All right.